Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to DevKami number 131. So my network is a little crazy. Yes. That being said, today I'm soloing today, but the guys might be in or out soon-ish. Yeah. Yes. Network still a little crazy. So let me type something here. Hello there. Interesting. Okay, so you see me on and off somehow. So let's start with our usual thing. Or let me double check what is happening on YouTube. Just check it, just in case. While I'm doing that, I'm going to share screen, share window, spoiler alert, spoiler, let me remove myself, la la la. Okay, so the first thing on my list, let me figure out why the presentation doesn't work. Can I see presentation? Yes. Yeah. Thing is crazy. So this week we don't have much happening until next week. Actually, next week we will have. Uh, okay, of course we had the obligatory Rebuild Tuesday. Then after that we have nothing until after next week. Let me stop my camera. Da-da-da. So I think that's about the event of the day lah. So next thing we have is my network is slowing. Goodness. La la la. La la la. La la la. Let's talk podcast. enter. All right, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Yes, my network is going crazy. Give me a few minutes to pull things up. La la la, meetup's done. Then this one. Right. Okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't prepare for this at all. La la la. Tell me if I'm in or out. Do tell me that. So the first thing is, Kotlin had an automation tool to actually automate your Kotlin setup. So what does this mean is, well, okay, believe it or not, you can't avoid not using Kotlin nowadays to configure your DNS. So this actually uses Terraform, and you need this option. And what they do is they actually call the Kotlin API to actually set up the DNS and whatnot. So I think that's pretty cool if you use Terraform. Not something that I use, but if you need it, it's there. So the next one is actually OpenBSD. Let me remove share tab. This is crazy. We need to share window actually. Share screen, share window. La la la. Then I'm going to the window. So the next one is actually hardened BSD. OPN Sense actually speed up. OPN Sense is actually a firewall setup for BSD. What does this mean is that so let's say okay, I think a few of the open firewall thing actually uses hardened BSD, and OPN Sense is one of the alternative. So what happened now is OPN Sense now move away to only do on free hardened BSD, and so they take hardened BSD patch and put it on top of free BSD. Now they can just do it on top of free BSD. So OpenSense is actually appliance. Let me see if that is. It's actually appliance for routers. So this is actually for you to input. It's something like it's like it's a firewall OS or things for your hard disk and whatnot. So yeah, if you use it as an application, it's mostly invisible. But if you fetch your own servers and all that, so that's the implication there. So the next one is actually RR project. Now, RR project is a debugging tool for Linux. So it's actually enhancing GDB. So traditionally, when you try to, when you actually debug your code, you need to set up your debug and provide source code and all that, which is why open source software, in the repository, there's a dev package. Those often are source codes. The reason is this, so that you can actually put it on your GDB and run things. And GDB is not the easiest thing for you to run, right? You have to trace it, and you can't replay it. And when you can't actually replay your debug, so once you run it, then you have to stop it and run it yourself again. There's no easy way for you to rerun it. So you have executable, then you have to run it, then it crashed, then you have to call the application again. So this one actually allows replay and allows better integration. Then you see they can actually replay the application and all that. I think this is pretty cool actually if you need it. In fact, I genuinely think debugging is one of those lost art among us. So there's tracing, but people almost never run it outside of the application nowadays. So yeah. So the next one is Verilog is actually is a tool for you to work on FPGA. So you can design your stuff like programming language, then you synthesize it into a code for you to run in your FPGA. And someone actually turned this into generating generating things for factorial. So yeah, interesting hack, but if interested, sure. So they also did an OCPU on this. So this is how an OCPU look like on factorial if you use this. And the next one is actually a canonical log line. So what canonical log line is? This is actually a way for you to actually generate log. So traditionally, when we do log lazily, this is what we do with requests and all that. Then after that, then we add more information. This structured log, very popular. So what this block suggests is now we are making one log per one transaction. What cool about this is you know that the whole thing is for one transaction and whatnot. And I think it's actually forced us to actually think about writing our log by a transactions instead of anything. So you will know that which request causing which problem at which endpoint. Unless you had a very special case, but then do it in event probably. And this will make debugging easy for you. So the next one is So eBay actually had an interesting problem revolving around the DNS. So what happened is certain DNS, certain IP addresses are causing network imbalance. So what it means that certain servers get more traffic than whatnot. So a lot of this is actually because the way IP address, the way DNS do things properly. So DNS handling IP addresses. It mostly fixed now, but it's there. So why does Windows Vista prefer this? It's a very cool. It's actually a very cool. It's a very cool. It's a very cool report actually. So and it's also very old because this is actually for Windows Vista. So it's one of those interesting problems that people forget. And at one time, people we used to complain long time back that people from the proprietary world don't work on RFCs. Things don't happen that much anymore, but it exists nowadays. So thank goodness for that. So next, the last one is Ubuntu 21.4 is out. This is an LTS, is it? I don't think this is LTS. I don't believe this is LTS. Oh, this will be 9 months. So the LTS will come later. So if you use 2004, you can still use it. It will go until 2025. And that's the news of the day. Let's see any comment. Yes, my network is bad, except it's better now. I got a feeling I have a network. I got a feeling this is a Linux computer problem. Ever since I do this upgrade, something is wrong here. So, all right, let's see how far I can solo in DevKami. Wish me luck. So the next one is let me find it. ThoughtWorks. Yep, here you are. Radar. So last week we talked about tools. Last week we talked about tools. Now we're going to talk about platforms, language and frameworks. So So Combine is if you work on iOS, then Combine is a framework for you to do reactive programming. So unfortunately, I don't use iOS that much, but if you need it, you have a better support and it works for you. This is something that you should really adopt. So yeah, and it works well with Swift UI. So yes, then the next one is Canary. Leak Canary. Here you are. Leak Canary is actually a choice for you to detect memory leaks in Android application. So this makes it this provide ways for you to set up traceback and find the cause of leaks in your Android application. Then the next one is JavaScript have a testing library. Angular now had a testing library, so you should test it to see whether it works. Which is always interesting to me because why is testing is not part of the thing that is being adopted by the JS community. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So the next one is AWS Data Wrangler. This is interesting. Here's why. Nowadays, you may not want to download your CSV file or whatever file you need in pandas. It would be better that you if you can read it from S3 and share it across the team, that would be a lot better. So this provide the capabilities. So the data wrangler would extends the creative pandas so they can load data from S3 and do whatever that you need. And you can also talk to different API to process your data and whatnot. As AWS is one of those tools where people use to process data because it's on the cloud and we don't actually have a lot of hard disk space. So this is an option if you're interested. Let me go through. Oh, okay. I'm confused with my tabs. Make some comment if you want to because I'm going solo here. It's so weird for me to go solo. Next one. So Blazor is a way for you to run your C# application on WebAssembly. So the team in ThoughtWorks actually used to build rich user application. This reminds me of Quicksilver, which is the Microsoft alternative to Flash in those days, and is actually killed quite a few while. So yeah, everything come back to this again. The reason why I'm thinking about that is because Quicksilver runs their own .NET VM and expose it as an applet on your browser to do things. WebAssembly don't do that because the VM is part of the browser, but you still compile as a virtual machine to do things, which I find very interesting. Right, pretty interesting. And also, well, it used to be in those days. Many so-called application developer is resisting against JavaScript. I mean, it's true, and it probably still true up to a level, which is why for Java there is Java Web Toolkit, which is compile Java into JavaScript and do your web application. Then yeah, it just reminds me of one of those things. It's weird, but it's there. So if you need it, it's there. If you guys do try it and think it's better than JavaScript, come tell me. So the next one is actually Fast API. Fast API actually provide quite a few things actually. So one of the first thing they provide is you can use type to actually define what response or what the input you should bring in and what's the response to go out. You can use you can return, you can handle. Can this guy handle? Can these guys handle? Okay, I remember there's one other framework that can handle GraphQL, but not this one. But this one is only for API, high performance API for Python 3+. So very popular among data science people online because they need to integrate with their data application. So fast API is one of those things, and also this framework uses the type system, which is awesome because now you know for sure what is the data you should pass into your parameters and your JSON. So yeah, explore it if you need it. If you use Python, if you only need API, I would recommend this actually. Next one, IOTS. La la la. So I don't know what this is. Let me look at this. So it's a type system for I/O encoding, decoding. I wonder if this is actually used for JSON. I can see why you might want to use this for JSON. Because it occurs to me the way the author create this is very similar to how I use serialization framework, not to convert data, more of validation. So when I use a serialization framework for validation, let me see, I have my favorite example, Marshmallow. Oh yeah. Yep, here you are. Let me share this in another link. La 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 la. Okay, so this is a serialization framework. All right. So what you do is you pass your JSON. So you see here, you pass your JSON or your dictionary in. Then you can create a data. Then you get an object. But if you can also dump the JSON out. And the reason you can put your JSON inside is so that you can actually verify your JSON before you save your data, so that you don't go crazy over it. It occurs to me that IOTS actually do the validation, which I think is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So the next one is Kotlin Flow. So this actually introduced coroutine to Kotlin. So this is actually so they can have reactive streams. Not really sure what is this, but coroutines is actually something that give you helps you implement iterators. And iterator is let me put it in a simple language. Can I? La la la. So let's say this is a list of objects, right? An iterator would actually be somewhere here that will point to the stuff around here. And you do that without actually loading your data into your memory, in theory. Let's say you have a file, then you do not need to load a file into memory. And if you have a database object, then you actually do your database query.
And hello.
Yes. So you can do a database query, so you do not need to load this whole thing in your memory. You just, from the database, you query it one by one by one by one, and with this way you can actually save memory. So that's why you implement iterator, and coroutines actually helps you do that. And
because today is a bit embarrassing because today is a holiday.
Public holiday.
Yeah, me and
Yes.
Tristan forgot about it. I think Tristan.
Yes. Don't worry about that, because I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push how far I can actually go solo. Don't worry about that. So anything you want to add on this? Kotlin coroutines and all that.
Look like.
Yeah. If you need it, it's cool. It's actually a very cool idea.
Yep.
And
it's the stream. It might be a bit. If you don't need it, then you actually don't need it. But if you have a lot of, especially on the UI, you have a lot of complex interaction.
Yeah.
Where where you have one that triggers multiple places elsewhere. I Tristan.
Sorry. Yes.
So then it makes sense. It will help up with the overhead will just be justified lah
Yep.
for that.
Precisely.
But if you start a project, mm, a simple probably you have a simple web app probably is a bit overkill lah. I mean like
Correct.
always lah. Tools the whenever we pick a tools, the overhead has to be justified. So
And
Yes.
most of the
everything at a
time, you
cost lah.
pick a tool because you wanted to solve something.
Yeah,
And so you want to
Yes.
know what exactly is this tool trying to
yeah.
solve and not just
But
riding the
yeah, but
bandwagon.
Correct.
it definitely helped a lot because like UI interaction is a pain in the dude.
It's it's never, believe it or not, it's a pro
Yeah,
despite over 40, 50 years of
yeah.
implementation. One of the earliest UI implementation, modern
Especially
GUI implementation is the
yeah,
1970s. It's almost, and in 1978 or so, you got GUI. It's almost 50 years,
yeah.
believe
But
it or not.
it gives rise to the popularity of OOP also lah for the
Correct.
GUI. In a
50
way,
years,
some yeah,
almost 50 years later, we haven't solved all the
yeah.
problem. We end up
Especially
repeating the same
this
thing.
thing right, the if you want me to give an example of what sort of interaction that might be useful is like when you have multiple let's say you have multiple buttons that might be a, like instead of a gauge, right, you have
Mhm.
multiple buttons that try to do the similar things. You don't want them
Mhm.
to keep overwriting each other's lah, or when you
Correct.
press in sequence lah.
Correct.
So,
So
and
yeah.
also in cases where you have a big UI where several sections had to be synchronized together,
Mhm.
then that part is can be pretty messy if we're
Yeah.
gonna do it
Correct.
the
Yeah,
tradition.
and again, these tools are showing up because you have these problems to take
Mm,
care of, right?
mm,
You don't want to
Yep.
immediately use the tool if you have like just a brochure app, for example. Like they,
yeah,
you don't even need like these kinds of synchronized
yeah.
states. You don't need to even use a tool.
Yeah,
Just use whatever you have.
it might create a more problem for you,
Hmm.
or
Yes.
yeah, especially when you're not familiar with the kind of mechanism lah.
Correct. Which is another story I'm going to tell you if I can talk about my work more of the later.
You're not
Lead
allowed to
element
talk
it
about your
was
work. We can just
I'm
hide it
okay
by
with
the
talk.
name S,
I need
company
to.
S.
I need to. I need to wrap the work into something that is not core business. So I need
Mm.
to generalize the problem before I can
yeah,
describe it.
has to be justified lah, the resource.
Mm.
Yeah. But generally, I can talk about
Yeah,
my work, but I need to
lead
generalize the
element.
problem.
The my impression for lead element was you remember Jonathan, the organizer for KLJS,
Mhm.
Yep.
the
Yep. Yep. Yep.
old. Yeah, I really like it because you don't have to transpile. It is just
Yes.
like it is just basically whatever using whatever that is available on the browser API lah.
Correct.
So
So awesome. Try it if you can. Tell
yeah,
us if you have tried it. Tell us. Next.js. Everybody have been talking about that. I'm not too
I
clear
don't
what
know
it
about.
is.
I'm a React user, but
Yeah.
I
So
wasn't following
next
up.
is like it's almost like what Rails did for Ruby, but not at the
Right.
same magnitude. It standardizes how you would write a React website, basically.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah,
standardization. So it's easy if you're saying, "Oh, I need a next." So if you just say, for example, "I need a React developer," like many React developers have their own, like
yep,
how do you do state management? How do you
yep,
do
Yes.
these UI frameworks,
yep,
etc. But Next has like, oh, I
yep.
need to. This is a website with pages, so and routing, etc.
I
And then it
think
just combines everything together.
the analogy should be React is actually a library,
Hmm.
and Next is a framework.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Sometimes I look at,
if
but let's
like
see.
different Next developers can immediately take over like each other's code just
Yes.
because of the standardization. You can you probably won't be able to expect the same kind of efficiency and being able to start immediately with React developers because
Yep.
yeah, React the code bases for React tend to be similar to hand rolled PHP
Yep.
code. at least from what I can see. Like before you have like Zen frameworks or like Symfony or all these things, like the days ago when you have to roll up your own PHP libraries and your own PHP
Yeah.
code, and how do you organize all of these things? That tends to be how, at least from what I've seen, most React code has been
Mhm.
without these kinds of frameworks.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. La la la. I'm moving between tabs, by the way. On demand modules. So this is actually, uh, I don't
I
understand what's
Yeah,
this.
so I'm not sure what it's trying to solve. Like, is it because I don't think the initial download time of an application is such that it's a problem. Maybe
Yep.
this is really for games, which like huge assets, but then again, you can stream the assets instead,
Or
right?
in a way to circumvent the like the instant app, especially these days, the instant app thing,
Mhm.
the thing that allow the Play Store or the App Store allow you to try out the app without installing
I
first.
don't know
I
if this
think
is
this is
really
a way.
like an instant thing.
Oh,
I don't know.
sorry.
I
Um,
don't know whether this is a way to make the app small enough to be able to support instant app feature while
mm,
when they upgraded to a full featured, they want a full feature, they want more feature lah, then they just
mm, mm.
gonna download the rest. I'm not sure if it's
Yeah.
about
But
that.
then
Yep.
again, maybe it's because we're speaking from a place of privilege here in Malaysia. We don't really have a problem with
Yep.
space in a phone, and as well
Mhm.
as like speed, download speed, right? But it
Yeah.
could be a different story in somewhere else where you have like a very basic feature phone, like very like barely able to run Android, and so
Yep.
disk space or like a storage space is a premium, and you can't really download a lot on mobile, and so you
Correct.
would want to download it piecemeal. Um, I don't know. I'm not just sure. I'm not really
I don't know
sure if
what
this
I don't
is
know what it's
something.
doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is something to like that will catch on.
Yep. So let's go to the next one. It's relevant. It's relevant. Streamlit, I've been hyped about it.
Yeah, you showed it before.
It's the
We
next
built.
Jupiter, right?
No, Jupyter is for you to, you will look, you're able to see the source code that you run.
Mm-hmm.
Jupyter is a code runner.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this one, unfortunately, the application on Streamlit is asleep now on Streamlit app. I have one on the servers which I forget, on my own server, which I forget to leave. So what this does is this actually a way for you to build a dashboard. It's interesting
Mm.
because you
Data
cannot
visualization dashboard.
correct, correct. So it's interesting, but unfortunately, if you talk to the data guys, the actual data scientists, analysts, data engineer, etc., I want to comment from them is Streamlit is very cool for prototype, but it's not. If you want something that is more production ready, we'll use something like Plotly and all that. But Plotly is focusing on building one chart at a time, so you have to assemble it, assemble your chart in an application anyway. So it's a bit different. Um, in short, Streamlit is awesome. Streamlit is awesome if you want to build application uh, quickly. It may not be good for production, but you want to make it for presentation and proof of point, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, on Streamlit, you want to use on Streamlit, if the project is idle for too long, it will shut it down. The code is still there because they put it from
Yeah,
GitHub and whatnot.
to be fair,
But
they are new startup lah. So
correct, and this thing run resource. So I run this on my own server before. It's not an easy thing to run. So yeah, the next one is called React Hooks that require SWR. What is this?
I don't even know what this is. I'm a
Yeah.
React
So
user, but I don't
Yes.
follow the trend lah. We basically use whatever that it's for data fetching.
Yeah.
Mm, Jamstack oriented.
So
don't
it's
know.
a remote data fetching.
Yeah.
So they implement caching while loading
Not
data.
not something that is not something for me. Lah.
Yeah.
I
If
would prefer
they
something
need it,
that is
we need it.
has more safety or type strictness.
Yeah. Very cool for saving data, but if you want to save
For
your
it's the but the feature that one of the target they meant is aimed for JM stack.
yeah,
So yeah, then it might make sense that it handles all the caching and stuff for you. Lah.
yeah, precisely. Next one, trust key. La la la. So it's a framework for you to
SSL pinning.
pinning for iOS
Yeah,
application.
it just hit us on Wednesday in production.
Right.
Where we've been figuring out why the customer cannot access our API by the SDK,
Yeah.
but it just turned out that their 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 system root certificate is outdated.
Yes. Happens. I know the feeling. One of these days it will hit my place, but let's see how it goes now. If on iOS is there, there's something for
Yeah,
Android.
but it's these days. I don't remember which version. Starting, I actually discovered it when I try to reverse engineer the dating apps that
Mhm.
Android actually been pinning cert for each application. I
Right.
remember it just the modern version of the slightly not really like the latest, but a few years versions back. Lah.
Right.
So they were pinning the cert and everything.
Cool.
So it became harder for me to do a man in the middle
Right. Let's move on. So this is all the this is actually part of the trial.
trial. Yeah,
So
fair enough.
something to worth pursuing and test it.
Yeah, I no
As,
but when you scroll up, it's actually that one is the one that I prefer. IOTS instead of SW.
yeah,
Yeah, that is a has is a type a more type safety oriented the
correct,
library.
correct. Let's move on to the next one. Too fast.
Net
.NET
5.
5, if you use
I don't
.NET,
think
yes.
Net 5 is access because Microsoft just move move it to Net 5 is the .NET Core, right?
Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah. So basically, Microsoft just move it there. I've seen some clients code written in Net5 already, so I don't think it's something that is even access. It's just something that if you're on the .NET stack, is something that everybody should move forward to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's
those
not a
days is a
choice you
bit
have, right?
different. Because
It's
those days
prob-
will be different because those depends on your OS that's available
Yeah.
and your
Especially these
IDE and
days,
whatnot.
the my digital thing and stuff, they sort of in a way accelerated some of the decision making.
Correct.
Yeah.
so it's probably an assess because you don't immediately upgrade to it. You
Yep.
still
Yep.
check
But
whether
but
okay, like
you
how.
yeah.
But it's almost a given that you have to upgrade to it
Yeah,
eventually.
it's a given.
But is the time now? I think that's the assess part.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's correct.
So so this is an access
Zem
to ring
I
receipt.
think Xamarin is I don't know. Xamarin is dead, right? I don't know. Because I
It's
see like Microsoft put a lot of resources
Yeah.
to even on React Native and Flutter these days.
yeah.
Xamarin is supposed to
Uh,
be their all-in-one,
Yeah.
all-platform,
C
write
sharp for
once,
correct.
everything.
any platform thing.
Yeah.
But I don't
Correct.
know if it's actually been uh, doing well.
Yeah.
I
I
think
heard
I
games do
I heard
well.
great things about Blazor, but I also heard that there's still it's still pretty rough.
yeah.
So and it provides something that I really like, which is similar to the Elixir's Phoenix live page.
Mhm.
Live view.
Live view, yeah. But live view is just the magic lah. But it's just a two-way communication that you always push your latest state in your templating
Oh,
engine
it's
language.
different then because it's similar to Hotwire in Rails. Well, actually, I think Hotwire is like similar to LiveView or Phoenix,
Mm,
where the HTML is actually pushed through. So you
yeah,
render HTML on the server,
yeah,
and then you push through the diff, and the
yeah,
JavaScript on the page
yeah,
diffs the DOM, and then just
Yeah.
plugs in everything.
Yeah.
It's not like how you do it in React where you push JSON
Yeah.
through. There's still two-way communication,
Yeah.
but it's JSON
The
and then you have
magic
a red.
is if people will ask why, is that the magic is that you can achieve that kind of interactivity without writing JavaScript at all.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, everything
yeah,
happens just
you
like
still write in your templating language.
Cool.
so. Yeah, it just magically works,
Yeah.
even if you're writing in Elixir or on Ruby. Yeah, no
And
extra
yeah,
JavaScript to
and Blazor
do.
also is a bit bleeding edge in terms of they actually utilize WebAssembly as well, right?
Yes. It reminds me of Quicksilver. Though. Silverlight. I'm so sorry.
Access ring to see how
Silverlight.
well the final unified frame will perform in Net 6.
Yeah.
Wow, Net 6 already.
Yes. Blazor testing
It's,
library. If use Blazor is there.
yeah.
It works well if you use
I don't see
on
anybody using
tool
that
for
yet.
.NET.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing to add now.
Mm.
I just hope that I can see
I
more.
I think none of
tests
us are
different-
in the from the .NET ecosystem as well, right?
Yeah, correct. So I'm going to move on. Dexter, I have no idea what it is. Data orchestration. Building pipelines. Actually, this is for you to build pipeline. So I'm sure
DAC, does
that
that
is
mean it's the DAC?
yeah,
Directed
acrylic
acyclic
graph.
graph.
Yeah. Is that the
And
DAC?
I'm sure it's
DAC?
because the reason for that is because these things are there to build pipeline. Yeah, these things are here for you to
Yeah.
build the
Also, if you have an
pipeline.
Excel file, you don't need this.
Yeah,
If it's just no, if your data fits in the Excel file, you most probably don't need this.
yeah,
And you
correct.
just want to generate another report like based on that.
Yes, this one is for you to actually, let's say you have your data source, there is not
Yeah.
Excel, then you do your magic,
Yeah, you have
function
a lot of things
magic.
that in the middle to
Yeah,
want to change their shape and
correct.
want to come up with something new.
It's Kage's book law, one of our friends' book law. Let's move on. Flutter for web. I know you guys don't like it. I'm going to move
I
on.
don't like it.
Not
It is
for not
it is
for
bad for accessibility.
yeah,
Yeah,
not for
As
how you would see as a website. It's not good
yeah,
for websites.
yeah,
it's good as it might it's actually it share the same niche as Flash. So like
yes,
if you want a branding page, fancy branding page with all the fancy animation or arts,
Or
then
or actually, like think about it. Maybe Slack might be a good thing here because it's not really a
possibly,
website, right? It's a full
possibly.
application, and then you have full control over things. You
yeah,
don't need a DOM necessarily for a Slack
yeah.
client.
Correct.
Let's see how it goes.
Yes.
It's
This one
moving
I
pretty
have.
fast, so I'm actually following up just for curiosity. You see,
Yeah.
the state management moves so fast. I don't even need to catch up. I don't even need. You see, the thing about some of the JavaScript stuff is that I can leave it be, and after a while, I don't feel like I'm losing. I just pick like let's say if I have a 5 year lifetime of my stack, let's say,
Yeah.
so I actually just pick it up. That's actually what I did last 5 years ago. Then not 5 years, a few years ago. Then I'll just ignore whatever that happened in between. Then 5 years later, I'll just pick whatever that is there.
Yeah, yeah. You pick whatever is there because everyone else as well is confused as you.
Yeah,
It's as if
Yes.
nobody really has like any kind of long-term experience with
yeah,
whatever that is you're picking because things
yeah,
change so fast anyway.
yeah.
I'm going to say my favorite word, collective ADD,
Yeah. But I'm using
collective
it not
attention
because
deficit.
I'm using it not because of it's trendy, but we are at the time that where our previous we were on Angular JS, where it was going to be end of life this year, so we
Mm.
had to move to another one that actually can promote collaborability lah. So people can share
Yeah.
codes and stuff. Web component is the one of the thing that's the reason we choose React, not because of its fancy or what. Also, it's pretty old, mature, supposedly.
Yeah.
It's still
That's true.
it still breaks like crazy whenever you try to upgrade.
Yes. Yes. Those are bread and butter of web application. JavaScript lah, a lot of compatibility and whatnot. I have no idea what is this.
Multi-platform.
Let me open the docs. It's Kotlin for
For multi-platform. What does it mean by multi-platform? Oh, including iOS.
Apple OS.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because Kotlin already can run on Linux. Desktop is covered, right? Desktop is covered. Other than FreeBSD, which possibly don't care for now, but I love FreeBSD.
I actually use it for production, but these days I just go to Ubuntu.
Yeah, those things runs forever. They probably outlast me seriously.
But you
They're
see, the
probably-
funny thing is, these days, right? Even I actually mentioned it with the colleague a few days ago. Like, probably it's just my perception, but
Yeah.
but it seems like Linux operating system breaks more often these days.
Yes, it's true.
Like
It's really true.
like for around, like, I think, let's say around the period where, let's say lah, just example, like 05 and until 15, I mean,
Yep.
2005 and 2015, like Linux were pretty much not moving.
Yes.
Not sure that's good or bad.
Yes.
but
this
these
way,
days there's a lot more behavior that were broken for this.
Yeah. What scares me about Linux nowadays is we have a lot of changes, right? A lot of changes. For example, desktop, you're moving display managers, display servers. Then you have the kernel change. Then not too long ago, you're moving to Windows system the DD. So I understand that, but yesterday those things run forever. It will outlast me. Those things are probably like the combo of our days. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's
go
move
for
on.
VGL.
LVGL, do not know what this is. Oh, yeah. It's a GUI interface for embedded system. Sean's thing. Let me make sure they don't use
Probably not
JavaScript.
responsive yet.
Okay lah. It's not for embedded. It's more for it possibly run on the Raspberry Pi. See?
Or something
It
you
works on
want to provide
MicroPython.
UI lah, like smart gauge or something like that lah.
Yeah, correct. So your
So
IO
a microcontroller that can drive a display. So I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I prefer knobs. So physical knobs.
Well, you can actually create a
apparently
physical
Elon
knob,
Musk don't
right?
agree with you.
No, I mean, I really prefer physical knobs, but the digital display lah. At least. Personal preference.
Put it this way, SpaceX don't agree with you, but the US Navy does.
I think nobody cares about my opinion. And also, I don't care about. Yeah, I'm just expressing my preference. It's just a
But
preference.
it's actually interesting because SpaceX do that to modernize their spacecraft display, right? What
It's
happened
actually,
is the US Navy.
yeah, I understand that it's a cost factor, right?
Correct, but US Navy on USS, well, newer ship, USS Zumwalt or something.
But for
the ship
instrument,
are
I mean, for instrument, knobs are more convenient in a way. It's faster to switch over different for configuration, depending on how you set it up.
So what US Navy discovered is on the warship, there is more mistake made on the touchscreen display than on the knob. So let's say in the Navy, there will be people surrounding you or whatnot. Knob works better for seamen than
You know what? For that also, I suspect is related to UX as well. Not really. I cannot say it's really a touchscreen fault, but might be related to the UX as well.
correct.
If
So
you just doing a low effort move over whatever that is a physical button to the digital UI is gonna be horrible. I think there's
yeah,
there's prone to mistake as well.
correct. I may try this for one of my challenges, but probably not
Mm.
now.
React hook form.
Yes. Why we need this again?
Mm, I don't know. Uh,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
have to check it out.
Yep. Because building form is essentially what building web application is about. So sorry.
Building form is not hard. It's just layout, but the challenge is the validation and everything.
Correct.
It's not
Most very
challenging,
true.
like it's just too boring
Well,
and
yeah, it's,
repeatable.
and also state management. Like when you refresh the page or submit a form, and then you have a validation error, then you want to
Yep.
keep everything what was written, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
that can be like, I mean, you would expect it because browser forms would usually do that, like the inbuilt validations for browsers. But if you redo everything in React, then you have to take care of all of these things. Plus, of course,
Yes.
like the normal form stuff, like if you press tab or like um, if you press enter, usually it submits all of these things. If you're not using the browser form and you're redoing
Mm-hmm.
everything in React, then you have to take care of that.
Yep. Let's move to the next one.
River.
La, la,
Write me a river.
la. I have no idea what the hell they're trying to say.
What is it? Yeah. Yeah, let's click. Have a look at it. For online
Oh,
streaming machine learning. Okay.
I don't know what they're trying to say.
Yeah, that's
I
the problem,
guess this
right?
is about the data, since they call it a data stream, and like Twitter started it with a fire hose, right?
It's
Like all of like
I think it's
then you have a
probably similar
spring
to that.
stream. So basically,
What?
most likely the data is a streaming kind of data, and that this is how
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
process it.
I don't understand. Honestly, I read about it. I don't get it as much. Can I move
So
on?
instead of like having all of the data, usually you'll have the training data, everything is all together, and then you train with this set of data,
Yep.
right? You have a set. But I guess
Yep.
what they're saying is that you don't have a set, you have like continually updating data
Yep.
Yeah,
that
but streaming data, machine learning algorithm, you're not supposed to train in the stream. You're trained in batch because those things are calculated in
What
batch.
what's the difference? Batch of one
Uh,
and stream are not much difference, right?
so you have to recalculate the last n that you want to do every
I don't
time
know.
there's a new step.
Let's check out the if you I think you have to check it out the details first to really see what is it about.
Yeah,
So let's move to the next one.
yeah. Then Webpack 5
Webpack.
module
It's not
validation.
something I deal with directly, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Why
I
though?
didn't fondle with my Webpack. I
Yeah.
just I just use whatever that is pre-prepared.
Uh, I don't
Yeah,
understand as well.
very low effort. Yeah,
Seems
because
nowadays.
the point is not to the point. Most of the time, I think I never actually needed only one of my React project needed that because it was too old. And back
Yeah.
then, in order to do more, I had to eject it. But these days, I actually don't need to.
it's a very usually a last resort thing to eject
Yeah,
your Webpack
because
configuration
you're
because
on your
there's no
own.
going back.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then it'll be very hard for you to upgrade as well because
Mm.
Yeah.
the it's all scaffold.
So with that said, we have nothing to hold. So for code, I think
Yeah.
that's about it. So anything you guys want to talk about that I already talked about it? No. So you guys are late. So and what's interesting recently?
I don't know what is interesting recently. Oh well, we've been speaking about machine learning. Are you actually joining the TinyML machine learning?
So let me open the link. Let me open the link. It's the Hexter. It's the Hexter
Yeah.
challenge.
Speaking of that, I still haven't submitted anything with the other one,
Let me share.
Big
Let me share
Feather
that. Let me
FPGA.
share this. I made some very interesting discovery. Really. As it turns, put it this way, this is a cool challenge in a way that they don't actually care. They don't actually care how you run it as long as it fits into a small device. But there is one thing that they will really judge you. So, for example, they don't mind if you use Raspberry Pi, but they kind of emphasize in their competition that it had to be battery powered. So, if you use a Raspberry Pi, you need to be very careful
Then you have a really big battery lah.
about
Yeah, you
power.
have like a car battery.
Yeah, you have a power wall.
Mm.
Yeah. No, they need it mobile, so you need
What?
batteries. So you need
You
to run
you you make it
a
a backpack.
reasonable size battery.
You make your battery pack as a backpack.
Yeah. So it hinted that you need something this size or something. A couple of these, right? I mean, not hundreds of these, a couple of these. So which is why it hinted that it's better if you can do it on the embedded system. And more importantly, and I also discovered that to make things easier, you need to use Edge Impulse. Uh,
What is that?
Edge Impulse.
It's a
And
software as a service, I think.
yeah. What they do is they help you take some existing machine learning models, or they will recommend you machine learning models that is friendly to embedded system.
Okay.
Then they will compile it and squeeze it for you. I don't think they literally squeeze it, but they will reduce the size into something reasonable.
Mm.
So, but what I discovered also is the development that I have is not supported. Uh, Let me see. There is one on a supported hardware.
I have a question though. Like, can you move the processing somewhere else, like on the phone, and then just communicate over Wi-Fi? So basically,
Uh,
your system is
I
like very
don't
dumb.
think so. I
Wait,
don't
why
think
do
so
you have to
because
do it? Is it edge computing? I don't think this is actually edge computing, right?
it's called TinyML because you're supposed to run your
Mm.
TinyML locally on your device.
Mm.
Because
Well,
it
calling uh connecting to a socket is is on its own as well.
Mm.
yeah. So the thing is, it's very loose. It's very loose. As I said, it's very loose, right? Uh, and they don't even tell you that you need to run this on battery. But in their presentation, they're saying that they really love to see something that can run on double A batteries or whatnot, right? I mean, they
Mm.
joke about running it on a console battery, but I don't think it's feasible. But it should be battery powered and portable. And because this is actually from TinyML Summit, not from
Mm.
TinyML Summit, so it implies there is something that you have to run locally. Because, so for example, let's say you uh, use things like the OpenME, not OpenME support that if you use the M5 stick V, so that one is actually based on a very different sort of library. So H Impulse doesn't support that. So you have to use whatever is provided by that. And let me find the okay. It's called stick V, M5 stick V. Stick. Yeah. So let's say this is the K210. This is example of K210. So things like the K210 processor, things like the H impulse doesn't work on this. TensorFlow, they had a fork of TensorFlow. You can still deploy on this and it will still okay, but so which is why they don't actually imply that you must use open you must use H impulse or TinyML. And so it works, but it should but they also implies very heavily that you should do everything on board and without big power source. So even though they didn't document it, you can do it, but you probably have to simulate yourself. Does that make sense?
Mm, I I don't know.
Right. So you can so you have to do you generally to do that you should do everything on board. In fact, there's already one submission. One submission. Quite a lot of people want to join in. Ah, damn it.
Yeah. So are you joining?
I'm trying to because I'm trying to see what hardware is available for me.
Mm,
Because I discovered that my OpenMV is not the version that's supported by H-Impulse, so I need to double check. I need to double check the capability, as in
mm.
how deep the network can run and what's the size of neural network can run. So I try to find what is a feasible
Yeah.
project.
Let us know if you win.
Yeah,
Then
let's see. I probably just do that to show off. I also get something from Citron for this because the camera, there's the AI camera for M5.
mm,
Uh, so let's see what I can do. I don't have a strong idea yet because I got a feeling that digital pad as a digital pad as in a camera that recognize your face to do things, this is common lah. But maybe I
mm.
try with that. Let's see lah.
Yeah, I think
What's
that.
common for swimming might not be so much
Mm.
for us.
No, it's common. I suspect that a lot of people want to do that submission.
Yeah, that's why I think the Quay one is would be interesting.
Oh, so the reason why I'm looking at this particular thing as well because this is pendant size.
Mm,
Pendant size means I can use it to do things like record what food how many bad food I eat or
yep.
whatever. So let's see lah. That's how it goes.
Mm.
And with that said, we apologize for the disruption. I know everybody's on holiday. We are on holiday too.
I also
For,
forgot. I was preparing to sleep,
Mm.
for
and I was
anybody
checking
that
my phone.
actually,
I was checking my phone
uh,
for the final message of the day.
for anybody that actually took a holiday tomorrow, good for you. Nice work. Don't be like because I forget that today is a public
Yeah, to
holiday
stay safe.
last week.
The
Yes,
the pl- the pandemic is still out there. Stay
correct.
safe.
So yeah, I think we just said goodbye lah. So we
Yeah.
say
Good
goodbye.
night, folks.
Okay.
Good night,
Have a
Goodbye.
good
people.
See
week.
you again next week.